Yes. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to our project seminar.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening, Sherifa.
Good evening.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Good evening. Yes. Welcome to our project seminar. First of all, I want to make our project dissemination for all participants. So I am starting now, and I want to give more information about our project. 5 Turkish schools and the schools from Portugal, Poland, Ukraine, Azerbaijan, and Romania have come together, and they have been running the project Start Writing No Matter What since October 2020. The main purpose of the project is to develop students' writing skills through the project activities such as exchanging emails, postcards, writing comics, writing story, and writing a story, any diary. The target group, would you please mute your camera, mute your microphone for all? Thank you. The target group is the students age from 10 to 14. They are at the beginner level at writing skills. Collaboration and cooperation are the basic elements in this project. However, thinking of the world situation in coronavirus, almost all of the schools in the world have to go on distance education and online. Depending on this situation, our project has been based on flipped learning as a methodology. At this point, this is my pleasure to present you Dr. Fatih Yavuz, who is strong voice, one of whose research areas is flipped learning. Okay, and who is Mr. Fatih Yavuz? I want to give my information about him. Fatih Yavuz is a doctor of philosophy, is a teacher trainer in English language teaching program at Necati Bey Education Faculty, Balıkesir, Turkey. He has been teaching English language teaching methodology and approaches in ELT since 1996. He is also lecturing on computer and mobile assisted language learning. He has published articles on English language teaching. He is also interested in learning languages such as Spanish and Catalan.
Yes,
So,
Catalan and some Portuguese.
Hele şu an konuşunca böyle bize fikir soruyor, biz böyle ortaya fikir söylüyoruz ya, diklerde hissediyoruz.
would you please mute your microphone, please? And I am honored and sorry. Okay. I am honored to leave the floor, Dr. Fatih Yavuz.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Doktor değil.
Thank you. So, I don't know if I am enough to give you some information about flipped learning and writing, but I'll try to my best. First of all, good evening for all joining, and buenas noches for some people. I have also tried some Spanish and Portuguese, so I hope we can communicate better. Okay, let me share my presentation for you. Yeah. Okay, this is what I have prepared for you. Flipped learning. I want to talk about the very brief history about flipped learning. Yeah, it was the idea of Eric Mazu at Harvard University. He designed a program which offered learners text files, interactive demonstrations, and dealt with their problems in an interactive manner before the class. And similarly, Baker distributed lectures online to create an active and cooperative learning setting. And also, Lage and his friends, they coined the term inverted classrooms, which means that the order of the actions in the classrooms and outside the classroom changes considerably. I mean, the students study the course at home and practice it in the classroom. And learners were supplied with videotape lectures and slides to study outside the class, whereas they attend in peer or group work activities in the class. Outside the class, they studied with videotape lectures and materials, and in the classroom, they practice whatever they have studied in peer or group work activities. In 2006, Salman Khan created a website known as the Khan Academy. It is still, let's say, one of the famous websites that students can pay and buy some courses. Yeah, it provides many courses, numerous academic subjects in the world, and it's a kind of, help assist for the flipped learning. In 2007, Bergman and Sams recorded their lectures and delivered them online for absent learners. Absentees in classrooms is a big major problem. So Bergman and Sams tried to solve this problem by recording their courses and delivering to the absentees, to the absent students. And this study resulted in improvements in test scores and increasing the interaction between learners and instructors. Such a successful model attracted notice of instructors and researchers, and it became flipped class model, and it became very a popular learning activity for the students. Yeah, when I talk about flipped class model, flipped learning, it is not just a teaching model, it has the theory. You would all agree that, I mean, while we are talking about an approach, we always criticize that there is not a theory supporting that approach. But for flipped learning, we can see two basic theories supporting the flipped learning. It is not just video or online resources, it is more. One of the theories behind flipped classroom model is blended learning. We know that blended learning in its simplest definition is the combination of traditional face-to-face teaching and online teaching. And the other theory is the constructivist learning theory. We know that for the traditional classrooms, knowledge is transmitted from teacher to the students, and they are imposed to do something with the knowledge they have learned. But instead of it, in constructivist learning, learners actively construct. Learners become a new whole, become a new person using the knowledge they have learned with their own experience and observation. So the constructivist learning environment enables learners to comprehend the knowledge and create purposeful solutions to the problems through digital resources or tools for learning. Yeah. So in such an environment, instructor is not the authority, is not the behaviorist teacher. That is what we are all criticizing. But teacher is a guide or facilitator. He helps learners figure out knowledge, and learners are active and they are responsible for their learning. The main discussion is sharing the responsibility between the teachers and learners. In a behaviorist approach, the responsibility is all on the teacher, where students are very passive and silent. For the humanistic approaches, the idea is that making the students more responsible, but we should find the balance. Responsibility should be shared by both teachers and the students. Okay, in a flipped classroom, instructions are delivered through web-based materials. That is what you are going to do, or sufficient resources before the class. And learners take care of their own learning and deal with producing knowledge and building meanings as in the tier of constructivist learning. Okay, they construct the knowledge and they become a new whole. Keep this in mind, please. And flipped classroom model is grounded in the concepts of learner-centered learning and active learning. In both types, learners are placed at the center of their own learning. Uh, and any problems with my connection? Can you hear me? Because
we can hear you, but we can hear also somebody else at the background. So somebody needs to just mute.
I'm not responsible for the noise.
No, I know, I understand.
Okay, I'm just with my
I'm sorry.
presentation.
Also, the parents are here to join your seminar. So I want them to mute their microphones. Sorry for all.
Okay, welcome all, and please be patient some more. Yeah, this is not long. This is not gonna be something boring, I guess. Okay, and what is I mean different from the traditional classroom teaching? The traditional classroom teaching is deductive. Teachers are imposing. Teachers are giving the rule. They are putting the rules and activities. Then the students just imitate or obey whatever they are asked to do. But in flipped learning model, they are encouraged to monitor their own learning process and find appropriate strategies to improve themselves. You know that language learning is a kind of input, but language production is a kind of output. So students should be able to monitor themselves to see what they are saying. In Turkish, we say, let your ears hear you before you speak. Let your ears hear you before you speak. Okay, it means monitor yourself, see if you really want to say that or not. Okay, and learners are expected to engage in peer or group work activities and use self-assessment measures. It's more important to be measured, to be assessed by a peer than the teacher, if we are preparing our students for real life, for communicative purposes, especially in ELT. Because our measure is not, trying to prepare the learners for something else. It is, making them to communicate in the society. Yeah, the benefits and drawbacks of flipped classroom model. Yeah, the very big advantage is the class time. You can use the class time very sufficiently and creatively using the flipped learning, because outside the classroom, they let's say fulfill the activities, and then when they come to the classroom, they just practice it. Yeah, the other advantage is the positive interaction between learners and, let's say, teachers, because for academic reasons we use the instructors, let's say teachers. The other one is that the instructors, the teachers, have a great impact on learners' lives. They are expected to be mentors, facilitators, and helpers. And there is an assistive interaction between the instructors, the teachers, who directly influence their achievements and performance in the classroom. And flipped classroom model maximizes face-to-face interaction between learners and teachers. Let me use this term. Yeah, and it allows learners to internalize the knowledge and to progress at their own pace according to their needs related to content of the course. Here, you would all agree with me that in a traditional classroom, all students should keep the pace of the classroom or keep the pace of the teacher. But in a flipped learning classroom, the students can decide how much time they need for an activity. They can study more or less. They can, spend more time, or they can spend less time. So they decide the pace, they decide the speed, they decide the time they will devote to their studies. And for teachers, of course, we're going to create relevant and interesting and motivating topics for our learners to take their interest. Mhm. The other one is that learners are expected to apprehend all of the instructions and presentation conveyed by the instructor in a traditional classroom. Because in a traditional classroom, it is teacher packed. The teacher forces to do everything in turn. But for Philip learning language environment, it is the opposite, you know. Yeah, but is flipped learning always good? Of course, unfortunately not, because in social sciences, there's nothing perfect. You know, nobody is perfect, and nobody is. You know, if we can't find nobody, there's no nobody here. You know, yeah, and we have the problems with the Philip learning. One of the main problems is that, you know, learners should be motivated. They should be eager. They should, I mean, have the motive to do it. If not, it is not possible. So there comes a big, let's say, load on the teachers. You should be making your learners ready for the Philip learning. Okay. The second one is that, you know, uh, the teacher should be very careful to choose the right teaching activities and the right learning activities, or the activities that will address to different learning types of the learners. Otherwise your flipped learning may not respond to the needs and preferences of learners. There will be some learners, you are all experienced teachers, and there are, let me say, not will be, there are, or there have been some learners who prefer to be directly taught by the teacher, directly given the instruction by the teacher. Those students will not have the same, let's say, success with the flipped language learning model, because some students are lost when they are left on themselves. They always want to feel their teacher by themselves, by their side. Okay. The other one is that the learners may perhaps cannot figure out and interiorize the knowledge from instruction videos or other additional online resources. What do I mean? For traditional learning, for some part of teaching, we teachers use the deductive teaching. You explain the do's and don'ts of something. You give the mechanics, you give the principles, how to write something, how to do something, how to perform something. But some students are against this kind of deductive teaching. They will find themselves in a flipped language learning model. But the vice versa is also possible. Some students may be lost when you are expecting them to find the rule, to understand the rule. What I mean, to induce the rule, to get it on their own, to construct the knowledge on their own. So for those learners, Philip language learning may be a block before learning, or it may be discouraging for them. Okay. Uh, for your project, you should keep in mind that how you are going to eliminate this problem. Okay. And also, I guess you have also considered this problem. Some students may not have the computer and technology to reach the sources you are preparing for them. Yeah. Also, perhaps uh, there may be, problems with getting the right, let's say, equipments for the, let's say, for the classroom model. But I guess for your project, you have all considered, you have all planned those limitations. Yeah. The other one is that, technology is really demanding for some learners, for lower income people. If people have lower income, it may be a problem for them. And for urban areas, the connection may be a big block, maybe a big problem. Even at university level, I sometimes uh, get my students, complaining about the internet connection in the villages. So we record the courses and trying to help them get it whenever they are available with the connection. Yeah. And the other problem is that the quality of the material. Yes, we all agree that we are going to prepare material for our learners, but can we really make sure that the material is the right type of material that will address to our learners? This is the question. Yeah. So there is another point. We should be very careful preparing the right material, an effective material to cover, to teach everything our learners need. Okay. And also another problem, if our students are really studying our materials or doing something else while while they seem to be dealing with our homework, with our assignments. Here in my example, are they playing computer games at the same time or not? So to yeah, Phyllis Hocam agrees with me. So to solve this problem, if I were you, I would just text to their families that I have posted some material with the website, let's say address, and I would warn them how much time they should spend for that activity. And if possible, you can give them some feedback, what they should be doing, how they should be observing while their children are using the computers. It can be a kind of a parent, informing the parents about the task to eliminate that problem. That is what I am doing sometimes when I'm teaching some Spanish to my, little young learners. I send their families some text that they should be checking the answers with their children. Yeah, it's a kind of solution, Yeah, and let's go on. The increasing workload of the instructors, teachers is another problem for flipped language learning. Can you imagine everybody, all teachers here are going to do their best to prepare the right videos, right materials, right documents to ensure the success of the model. This will be really a workload for the teachers, because you have to be good at computers, you have to be good at your profession, you have to be, overcoming the difficulties of, technology, and both financially, you may have more problem. I don't know how much will your school be funding you, or the project will be funding you, but you may have problems, really big problems to overcome the workload. For instance, for in the theory at universities, we always ask our teacher candidates to give homework and to check the homework, but the mode is not the same when you become a teacher. It is not easy to teach, to control everybody's homework every week, every hour. So this is the, real picture. So there should be a way to let's say, control it. Perhaps you can share the workload with your friends to make it, affordable. Yeah. The other one part is that, our teachers spend too much time for flipped language learning. Okay, what are the components of flipped classroom model? Yeah, we say that, the videos, and the instructional materials, and lectures, they are the main parts of the flipped classroom model. But I have a acronym for you, and I will go more with the components of this model. Yeah, what are they? Let's see. Well, the first one is the flexible environment is needed. Your classrooms should be converted from the behaviorist classrooms into the modern classrooms, where any kind of study can be available for group work, for pair work, for, individual studies, or for, some performances. So the instructors should keep in mind that the classroom can be changed to any setting if needed. Okay. The second is the learning culture. The culture you know, the traditional culture is that teacher says the students what perform it. So we have to change this culture before we begin flipped learning. If you are going to teach something, you should train your students to be taught in that way. Okay, and what I mean, the learners should learn to take the responsibility of their own learning. They should learn to construct their own knowledge and utilize the knowledge and content and evaluate themselves. This is the definition of what constructive learning. Okay. The other one is the intentional content. You know, instructors, I mean, we teachers should find efficient and appropriate ways to improve learners' knowledge and foster the learning process. You know, we should be, whatever we are loading them as homework, as material, should be able to improve their knowledge and foster their learning process. If they, in some cases, whatever you are teaching, if it is irrelevant, if it is not interesting, if it is not motivating, if the students think that they will never use it in their real lives, it doesn't matter. If it is the traditional classroom or flipped classroom, the result is failure. Okay. So we should be very careful to prepare the content, you know. And also you should create lectures for your students that can be processed at home, and they prepare the content and practice in the classroom. So you have to choose you have to modify your syllabus. You have to perhaps study with the perhaps the national policy, educational policy makers, with the curriculum to make the necessary changes for flipped learning. I have some friends working at universities who only teach by using the flipped learning model. They have changed their syllabus thoroughly, completely, because for traditional learning, we have some topics that we want our students, I mean, practice at home and study in the classroom. So it cannot be converted into the flipped learning. So we should be careful to create the lectures, I mean, that can be studied at home, learned at home, and practiced in the classroom. And this is the summary of what I tried to explain you. We should be let's say, observing and analyzing what the learners' needs are and what materials they need for the learning process. Okay, and we need the professional educators for flipped language model, you know, for flipped language learning. This is really important because I remember from my early years when I was teaching the let's say high school students, one of my friends using a communicative course book, he was translating all lines in the communicative course book. Then I told him, the success is never going to come because he is translating everything he finds, whereas the course book addresses communicative purposes of the learners. So what I mean, you should you should be ready to change your model to become professional educators, you know, so that you can, I mean, really get prepared for flipped language learning model. Yeah, because it's really otherwise exhausting for the teachers. Yeah. And the other part is the teachers are always watching, observing students' progress, and they have to give feedback spontaneously, you know, to the students. Yeah. Although it seems that the teachers are not doing too much in a flipped classroom model, in fact, they are doing a lot. Because, I mean, giving the students responsibility is not enough. It is still the teachers who are controlling, who are trying to, I mean, see the overall picture if the students are, let's say, improving or not. Have you ever tried web question for flipped classroom model? This is my question. Well, try it. I'm going to share this a presentation with Sherifa, and she can share it with you. For flipped classroom model, this is just a suggestion. You know, I don't claim that it is the best. It is just a suggestion. You may use web question. The students will get ready for the web question. It has a model. You can just find on the link, and it is free. And your students, when they are studying, when they are getting prepared for the web quest, I'm intentionally pronouncing it web quest because it's the question. It's the question on the web. It's an inquiry-oriented lesson. The students should answer your questions, and you have a rubric there. You show them the process they should have, follow. So at the end of which they are expected to learn what you are asking them to learn. This can be a good help for you for the flipped classroom model. Just try it and see if it works. I can share the result. You can share the results with me. Okay. And for a brief, writing notes for you, because I'm trying to connect writing with the flipped language learning model. Yeah. Okay. What we are doing for writing, we are teaching the students the writing system, perhaps not in Turkey, because mostly we are doing it with the first language. I don't know for the other languages, but the direction, the letter formation, the rules of writing, spelling, the capitalization, the cohesion, the grammatical relations between sentences. You remember the basic thing first, second, and finally, this is what we are doing. And coherence of the logical organization of the text, disadvantages, advantages, and all in all, and register, choosing the appropriate language and words in our writing, if it is very formal, if it is informal, or vice versa, And we are teaching the students the micro skills in writing, for instance, what the words and they use in patterns. We give them the phrases and ask them to use in a sentence. We give them some grammatical systems and we want them to use it. For instance, the tense agreement, how to make it plural and patterns and rules. And we try to express the particular meaning in different grammatical forms by making them write it. Write a sentence about what you used to do when you were, younger. That's maybe the question to provoke your learners to write something. At this course level, we call it macro skills. We use the cohesive devices in written discourse. We ask our learners to use the cohesive devices, how to, let's say, begin a paragraph, how to end it, and then how to begin the second paragraph and how to conclude it. Yes, and use the rhetorical forms and conventions of written discourse. If you know the genre of your discourse, if you know the type of the discourse that you are writing. Yeah, and the communicative functions. Okay, and convey links and connection between events. I'm not going to read everything, don't worry. Okay, and giving the first, we all know that for a good paragraph, we should all have, Sherifa remembers from my teaching to her, and
Yes.
Ümit is there too. I have
Sure.
two students. I remember two former students and my colleagues now. Yeah. And we know that each paragraph should have a topic sentence and the main idea and the supporting ideas and then the concluding sentence and example. We know it. And this is what we are doing in a good writing course to teach our students how to write effectively, okay? And they should be distinguishing the literal and implied meanings when writing. And they should be saying, how to convey the specific references in the context. They should use the, a better of writing strategies. They should be, dealing with the strategies. A good teacher, of course, will not say, will not dictate the learners to use that strategy, but gives the models during which the students find themselves in one of those models, okay? Yeah. Okay, we have two approaches in writing. One is a process approach, and the other one is product approach. The process is more, let's say, putting the parts together to let's say, reach the big picture. Okay, and we make our students step by step, going and finding the whole. For the product approach, we give the students an model and they just imitate it. They try to write something like it, more, let's say, behavioristic. So, and what are the stages in writing? Yeah, we have the pre-writing, we have the while during writing, we have the post-writing. From my understanding, I assume that you're going to give the give these two stages at home for the pre-writing and while during writing, and they will be practicing perhaps, or you are going to assess the writing, final draft in the classroom. But we have three stages, three of which should be really fulfilled by the students with the help of the teacher. For the pre-writing, I need to see what I am going to do. If I am lost, I remember, let me share one of my childhood memories with you. I remember my, let's say, art teacher asking us to draw what we did in summer holiday. It was very difficult for me because I was the worst students. Well, I was not one of the, I was the worst student to draw. So can you imagine my paper? It was all blank because I didn't know what to draw, because I was not taught how to draw. This is the same for writing. And again, our Turkish teacher for composition asking us to write whatever we have done for summer holiday. But if he had given us some criteria, tell me, write me three things you liked, three things you didn't like, five places you have seen, what two famous people, one famous people you have met. I'm just making up. If he had given us the criteria, I would be more successful. I would know what expected to write. This is the same for pre-writing. We should be introducing a model or model-like thing. And while during and writing, we should support them with the right material, with the right suggestions and feedback. And for the post-writing, they can, after the drafts, many drafts, because they will ask their friends and they will perhaps get suggestions from you, they will give you the final draft. And we have the composition types, everybody knows them. We have the guided and controlled one. If your students are not ready to produce, paragraphs or writing or compositions by themselves, so you are preparing them little by little for the free writing. This is how you do with your children. They can't walk when they are born. They can't talk when they are born. You are giving them help. You are giving them a hand. You are, they are leaning you. And this is the same, you are guiding them, you are controlling them. When you feel they can do it on their own, then you give them the way. Okay, there you go. Write your paragraph is the final stage of your teaching. Okay, guidance, and then waiting, expecting them to be independent without your help. And for the writing process, we have planning, we have drafting, we have reviewing, we have editing, and we have many reads. What do I mean by reads? We have many drafts. We write and we do you remember from the movies, from the pictures that people are, we see some persons are trying to write a letter and they're tearing it out. We see many papers in the junk. This is the same. Before you are satisfied with your work, you have many drafts. That is what happens in the classroom too. You give some suggestions, their peers give them some suggestions, so the result becomes improving and getting the best one for their level. Okay. I'm sorry. Yeah, okay. The suggestions of these are just examples from my side. You can have more. You can ask them right instantly, right now, what is the good thing of this seminar? What is you liked about this seminar? This may be an instant writing, okay? Using music and pictures. For your flip learning, you can load some music and pictures, and you can ask them why listening to this kind of music and looking at the pictures, write the story. Oh, Emma. Emma is the first name. I'm just making it up, you know. And newspapers and magazine. What is the fashion this year? Look at the newspapers and magazines. Write me the fashion. Which color
That's
should
right.
I wear? Which color is for the casual, dress? Brochures and guides. I was in Malta. What came to my mind was that I would prepare. I took all brochures and guides from the hotel room, from the lobby, and I took it to my university. Some of my students they would be visiting to Malta. I asked them to find the places I have given them from the guides. I, just marked some places and I asked them to find those places when they go there. And it was very useful for speaking because when they come back, they had to give us the presentation about those places. You can ask them to write. And collaborative writing, you write a part of something or they write together. It's maybe the chain writing. I don't know, you decided. And in my time, this was popular. I don't know if it is still the pen pals. Nobody is having pen pals anymore. Or the pen pals are electronic. They are having the Facebook friends, Instagram friends, Twitter friends. But in my time, it was the traditional pen and paper. We were writing the letter and posting it. And it was reaching in months, to the other parts of the world. And live chat is what is possible for, especially for the pandemic period, for everybody, And writing in other genres, this is important. You should be introducing your students to genre, what they are writing, what type of thing they are writing. They should see it. If they are introduced, if they know, if they become familiar with what they are writing, so they can do it. They have the possibility to do it. So another issue is assessing writing. How you are going to assess writing? Okay, the first thing is you have to make sure what your students are able to do. I mean, know their abilities, and while you are assess what they can do. Not, for instance, you can ask me questions. We have teachers here, right? You know some questions that Fatih Hoja cannot answer. If you direct me those questions, the result is failure. And you also know what kind of questions can show me a successful student. But both are misleading. You should know the real level of your students and assess according to that level. Okay. And the second one is find the activities. Okay, and plan the activities that your students will do, but the end of that activity should match one of your goals. Even at university and everywhere, when I begin my course, I clearly explain my goals, my learning goals, my learning outcomes to my students. And whenever I'm doing something, I always try to answer in my mind the question, I mean, what I am doing, and is that really, I mean, am I really sure that it matches my goals? For instance, think that you are measuring your students' ability in writing some grammatical forms. If you ask them, I mean, the passive voice, where they don't have any knowledge, write me how, for instance, what paper is made. the result will be failure. So know the learning goals at that level. If A1 level, you know how many words they should know and what kind of structures they should be able to do. So know the levels and know the learning goals and prepare your assessment and examination or your test. I mean, according to that level, and give feedback early in the writing and also during the writing and after the writing. Why don't we write a short paragraph about the do's and don'ts of the COVID-19? Okay, you should talk about the personal things, okay, and the classroom rules. Write in first paragraph, write about the personal things. In the second paragraph, write about the school things. When we are at school, when we are, at home, when we are on ourselves, when we are individually coming and going back from school, why should we do? Let's write them one by one. Okay, they can brainstorm their ideas. Now it is time to write them in a paragraph. Okay, this can be a good feedback. This can be a good suggestion for your learners. Yeah. Okay. And finally, this is your final slide of mine. When you are assessing your learners, are you assessing for let's say structural things or for meaning? Some teachers, of course, I'm not blaming you for assessing your learners for structure and vocabulary. This may be a part of your assessment. Sometimes teachers are, assessing, trying to see if some vocabulary is gained by the learners or not, or is some structure. I respect that. But for more developed learners, our concern is with the meaning. Are they going to express themselves properly or not? Okay, so you should decide your rubric. You should make a rubric. You should put your criteria list while assessing your learners. And at the end of which, sometimes your students will ask you, sir, senorita, why did I have lower grades than Denisa? We answered the same way. We have written the same type of paragraph, but Denisa got better grades than Sema. Why? What is the reason? In order to satisfy your student, you should have a rubric. I certainly need a rubric. Okay, you should show me that Denisa has used the right vocabulary, but I didn't. Or Sheriff has used the, let's say, more comprehensive, let's say, sentences, more communicative sentences than me, and I did something wrong, etc. Okay, you should have a rubric. Thank you for listening. This is all, but I'm of course ready to be, if I can, to answer your questions. And I'm going to share this presentation to with Sherifa, and she can share it with you. Okay.
Yes, of course. And I think, first of all, I should start this question. How can we do evaluation in flipped learning?
Well, how you are going to evaluate flipped learning, or how you're going to compare the success of flipped learning with non-flipped learning?
Second one.
The second, yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Well, for university level, we are always conducting research. You can do similar and simple research. Some of not all of your students are learning in a flipped way, right? Most of your learners will be in the traditional classroom, and some of them will join the flipped classroom, right?
Yes.
Is this what I understand from your project?
Yes, that's it.
Yes.
Exactly.
Okay. Your project is that. Let me first understand your project. Are you planning to give some of your students flipped learning, or all of them?
The participant of students participant students in this project are learning in flipped learning.
Yeah. How did you choose your subjects? Or how are you? You have chosen or you're going to choose?
Most of we chose together.
No. But you haven't chosen your students yet. You're going to choose, right?
The volunteer students joined the project activities.
Okay. So the other students will not be volunteer. Do they know what they are going to do and they are volunteering, or they just, volunteer because they love you? This is the other question, you know.
They love English and me and the other colleagues.
I don't know. I can get many answers from everybody. Yeah. But my suggestion is that you can compare the success of your learners. How? How you evaluate the papers, for instance, think that you have given us topics to write. One is in a flipped way, the other is in a non-flipped way. So these students are chosen randomly.
Yes.
Not, if you choose them, with a criteria, you should use the criteria for everybody. For research, you should be objective, not subjective. If you are subjective, you choose the successful students and the result is success. So
Okay.
in order to eliminate those, let's say factors, those variables, I suggest you use a random method. Choose your students randomly. Choose random students from the volunteer ones, okay? And you can compare the success of your students in both groups. The, let's say, flipped students and the non-flipped students. You can compare the results. And what will be the criteria? Will you just compare the success or something else? For instance, you can also compare participation. How many of your students return their homework back to you? How many of them are interested? How many of them are participated? For instance, in distance learning, I am using Microsoft Teams. Our university is using Microsoft Teams. One of the advantages of Microsoft Teams is that I can see which student viewed, which student handed, which student didn't hand the homework. So it gives me an idea how many of my students are dealing with my course and how many of them are not. And you can try to explain the reasons by making an interview. Okay, you can compare the success of your learners, their grades. You can compare their grades.
Okay.
You
Thank
can
you.
compare the participation also. If you have the right scale, you can also compare the motivation, and you can have an interview. You can have an interview and take notes and try to classify whatever you have learned from the interview. I like the flipped classroom, or I didn't like because it was too much homework. Or it is, I can't decide what to do when I am on my own. Something else, you can compare it. This may be one of the way, or you can compare the test results on the students' grade system. I don't know what kind of grade systems you are using. You can just compare them. I hope this is enough to
Yes.
explain.
Great for me. Thank you.
Oh, Kadir is there too, and Phyllis.
Yes, Filiz, Mrs. Filiz.
Filiz
Hocam,
hocam.
thank you very much for your presentation, first of all. And I also want to thank Sherife Hocam for bringing us all together. It was an inspiring presentation for all of us. Also,
Thank you.
and I want to say that almost in all eTwinning projects, we have pre and post test surveys for both teachers and students using Google Docs or questionnaires. We prepare questionnaires, but not interview. We don't, in fact, establish the triangulation very much, but we just want to evaluate their effective motivations for the course before starting the project and after finishing the project. We repeat the similar questions at the end of the project. It's also a way of evaluating it, and we all do it. And I want to add something. I don't have a question, in fact. I want to thank you for the writing suggestions according to flipped learning. We also, comparing to our university days, let me say years, in fact, I hated writing, especially the essays. I'm so sorry. I am a graduate. I graduated from Gazi University, and I really hated because I didn't know how to start. In fact, I knew, but I'm very bad at organizing. But now our students are so lucky because there are many ways of like blogging, in blogger websites, and they can also create their own games, preparing their own questions. It's also a way of writing. Maybe they are not writing a full paragraph or they are not writing full essays, but in fact, they can show us their writing skills in many other ways as well. So they are luckier than us, I guess. And the situation is changing, in fact, and we are changing our way of teaching according to the needs of the era. So they are also luckier than us. So.
Yeah, Filiz Hocam, Filiz, I have something to add. Pre and post, evaluation is not possible for flipped language learning because your students haven't tried the flipped learning before. So what are you going to test before? So pre-testing is not a good idea for something they have never been educated. You can have the post-test. I agree. But you can just compare. But for pre-test, there's nothing to test, I'm not trained in that way.
Yeah. We ask questions like, are you aware of Web2 tools? Have you ever used Kahoot? Have you ever used vice versa? So we ask questions like that. And then we ask, for example, would you like to attend another project? Do you think,
Filiz, that can be, let's say possible for to get the attitudes against flipped learning. But you can't ask a person questions about something they have never been into. But you can get their attitudes. You can get their personal preferences.
Yeah,
I agree with you. Yeah, that may be a good, you can find some technophobic students. And you can see if the technophobia change into the, let's say, getting more involved with technology or not.
Right.
That may be possible. Yeah.
Thank you so much again.
Somebody was writing a question, but they are writing to you or to me? They are writing to you, to the group. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, expectations about the project at the pre-survey. Possible, but as a student, I cannot, predict what we are going to get at the end of something. I'm a student. I just do whatever my teacher, gives me. You see the big picture. The students, Shenai, they are part of the picture. They can't see the big picture. The whole. Even at university level, we teachers know the big picture. If I leave my courses to my students, they will just repeat the same thing because it's easy for them. They will all use grammar translation method in everything because it's easy. It is me who is seeing the big picture and planning more things. So they cannot, I guess they cannot be telling you much things about the project. I think this is my idea. Well, Jose is from
Portugal.
Jose, where are you from?
I'm from Portugal.
Oh,
and I listen some words in Spanish, and it's a pleasure listen Dr. Fatil. It's like new for me. In my country we have that, and some of my colleagues work in the flipped class model. I don't work so much because I teach with special needs students, special education. But it's a pleasure, and I pay attention what Dr. Fatil said. Thank you very much.
I really wonder the results of your study. The results of your study can be presented in a very effective article, which I may take, some part if you want from me. I can, take some responsibility in the organization, in the analysis of the data, because you have the let's say different colors, you have the different cultures. I really wonder what kind of results, what kind of conclusions we can drive from your study, from your project. I think what was the name of this project? This is not Grundtvig.
Start writing no matter what.
Okay, I don't think Erasmus project or
eTwinning.
Yeah, eTwinning. I don't think they are very interested with the result as as an article, but at university level, I want it to be published for the let's say future teachers. Agatha is from. I'm trying to know everyone. Agatha is from.
I'm from Poland. Nice to meet
Poland.
you.
Hello, Poland. We have many Erasmus students in Poland.
Yeah, and we've got lots of projects, Erasmus and eTwinning too. We are very interested in this kind of European cooperation. So that's why I'm asking. I was writing with my students a lot these days, and I found it problematic what to do when they use translator. I can see that the sentence is, not the level of their abilities. I can tell them that, but they are still trying to cheat in some kind of way. I think they would like to write more complicated phrases, try to be as good as they are in their mother language, and they find it difficult to make English sentences simple and easy. That's why they choose translator.
Am I pronouncing your name correctly, Agatha? Or is it
yes,
the
perfect?
Agatha. Yeah, we write for two things. We write to satisfy our teachers. We write for real things. In traditional classrooms, yeah, then you said, this is what happens, we write to satisfy our teachers. Our teachers give us a model, and we try to give them the feeling that we can write as they wanted. This is the first thing. So we try to write very complicated sentences. We try to use very literal meanings in our writing. And the second one is we write for real audiences. We write for real people. Yeah, these are two different things. If I write for my teacher, I try to focus on more structure. If I write for real audience, I try to focus on meaning. This is what we should keep in mind. First, students starting to satisfy the teachers should move on to satisfy themselves for real communicative purposes. Okay. And Şenay, you're not from Turkey? Your surname is Mustafa?
My husband is from Greece, so this is our last name. Actually, I'm from Turkey.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Thank you for your nice presentation.
Thank you. I hope it helps you a little, un poco. But Jose, I tried to study Portuguese. It's really, the pronunciation is really very different from Spanish.
Yes, it's a little different. For us, we can understand, and who speak a little Portuguese, or better, who speak Portuguese can speak a little Spanish, but yes, it's a little different.
I can understand the written language, but no spoken language.
You need to learn Portuguese, and then you make the conference in Portuguese, the next.
I wish. That is my, let's say, real dream to be able to, let's say, give a conference in another language, in Spanish, in Catalan, in Portuguese, in Italian. Why not? They are from the same family.
Yes.
I'm done, Sharif Hocam, if you have any more questions.
I should ask the participants, do you have any question on flip learning or the other topic, writing skills, to our guest Dr. Fatih Yavuz?
I'm
We
not
really,
guest. I'm one of you. I'm one of you. I'm not a guest. I'm one of you.
Yes, yes.
I feel, myself belonging to this group, because we are all
Yes,
doing the
we
same
feel
thing.
the same for
Yeah.
us. Thank
we
you.
really thank you for your presentation. In this project, we have how-to videos. For example, how to write a blog, how to write a story, how to make a poster, etc. I just wanted to say this. I think this is a good thing for flipped learning. What do you think?
Şöyle hocam, it may be a good way to give them the way they are going to construct the text. But are you going to give some examples? Are you going to give some samples?
Sort
They
of.
might need it.
We are teaching by doing and showing.
Yes,
on
but
the how to
the
videos.
But Sharif hocam, the videos, the materials, it is not just the videos. You have to upload some videos. You have to upload some materials. You have to upload some pictures. You have to upload some, let's say, provoking ideas on the Philip Learning website or wherever you are sending them. I don't know. It may be even email. I don't know. They can just reach the website and learn. Are you going to give some models? Are you going to give some examples that they can read and get a kind of, understanding of what they are expected to do? Or you're just going to explain them how to do something?
I think sorry.
Okay, Dennis.
I think Jose had exactly what you were talking about, did something similar. He had he had to do a how-to video on writing an email, and he had samples of how to write, maybe the greetings, the closing part. So he had examples on how to write an email.
Denisa, my question is, are you going to directly tell them do's and don'ts of writing an email, or are you going to give them some samples and are you going to provoke them, ask them questions? Did you pay attention? Who is she writing the mail to? What is the message? If you are
Yes,
asking questions,
I did that.
Denisa, this is the other way. This is the inductive way. If you are asking, if you are trying to make your students to get aware of the model, and finally, you can introduce the rules as Jose does. As you have noticed in this email, we have the rules. Did you pay attention how we salute the people, how we conclude the mail, where do we write the address? This may be more effective. Then you can ask them to produce something similar like that. Or you can ask them now, let's write how-tos of creating an email. Okay, you can choose two ways, or you can mix two ways. One of them may be giving the rules. One of them, the other way, you made hi to your daughter, and the other way may be, asking, letting them find the rule, or helping them create the rule altogether. You can choose the methodology, two types, It may be the bottom up or top down. You can create the methodology. Hello. Ümit is from Stuttgart. Ümit, when I was in Stuttgart, I was in Maine. Yeah, I was in Stuttgart many years ago.
Many years ago, and
and it was really interesting to see Turkish people, speaking Turkish in the streets.
Yeah. There are lots of Turkish people living here, and that's why we work and we study here for helping them. It was a really great honor for me to meet you again, hear you again.
Thank you.
I felt really a little bit cold, like I was in Erzurum, and it was really beneficiary for me to learn from Flip Learning. And I was one of the guests. I am not involved with the project, but I really appreciate Sherife Hocam, and I want to join one of her eTwinning projects too.
Okay. Great.
Şerif Hocam, maybe a part of your project, maybe visiting Fatih Hoca in Balıkesir, where sea and sun is wonderful.
It's not a project, it's a motto.
Great idea. I'm taking notes here.
Yeah, it may be part of project that after the pandemic is over, we hope that the COVID-19 will be over. Then you can all together come and visit me, and then we can have good time here. Why not?
Oh, thank you so much. And the coordinating school of this project is Atayurt Ortaokulu, and my principal Fuat Alp is here, and he is always supporting us in project activities and dissemination in many ways in project, and he would like to say his greetings and sincerity with you. I think Fuat Hocam orada mısınız?
I see Fuat Hocam's name. I see his name at the...
Yes,
yeah,
he was
window.
here. Although he knows nothing about English, he was here all the meeting long. So
yes. You don't have to know all languages, but you may be eager to help for the projects. That is what the headmasters do.
yes.
Sabina is from Azerbaijan.
Sabina and Aybeniz are from Azerbaijan.
Aybeniz.
We are from Azerbaijan.
Nice
to meet you here, Yavuz Hocam.
Nice to meet
Fatih
you.
Hocam.
I'm from Erzurum.
Nice to meet you. That was great.
Thank you.
It was a very great speech. I listened to you attentively. Your
Thank
pronunciation, great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We have Azerbaijani students even at our university,
Yes. Yeah, my son is also one Turkish university. He studies now. This year he has one Turkish university in Istanbul. So he's one of Turkish, one of Azerbaijan students who is studying there, but online, of course.
Yeah, for this year. We are expecting
for
to
this
become,
year.
face-to-face next term or next year.
Inshallah.
Inshallah. Yes, Şerif Hocam.
Yes. I think my principal Fuat Alp is ready to talk. He is gonna talk in Turkish and I will translate his speech then to our partners. Fuat Hocam.
Sesim geliyor mu? Şimdi,
Evet hocam geliyor.
herkese iyi akşamlar, değerli eğitimciler. Öncelikle Atayurt Ortaokulu ve şahsım adına online Zoom toplantısına katılım nezaketini gösterdiğiniz için sizlere çok teşekkür ediyorum. Atayurt Ortaokulu öğretmenimiz Şerife Ünal Seyran'a da bu toplantıdan dolayı ve okulumuzun adına yaptığı çalışmadan dolayı hem kutluyor hem de teşekkürlerimi sunuyorum. İyi akşamlar diliyorum hepinize. Şerif Hocam siz çevirin.
Okay. And
It has hard work to translate everything.
yes.
Fuat Hocam, thank you.
Yes. And my principal Fuat Alp say his thankfulness to all participants in this meeting, and then thanks to me as a teacher of his school teachers. And biz teşekkür ederiz Fuat Hocam.
Hepinize iyi çalışmalar diliyorum. Hepinize iyi çalışmalar.
Çok teşekkür
Okulumuza
ederiz.
mutlaka bekliyorum.
Evet.
Okulumuza mutlaka bekliyorum. Atayurt Ortaokulu'nu görmenizi tavsiye ederim hepinize.
We have been invited to his school. Am I included, Jennifer?
Okay. My principal, Mr. Fatalp, is waiting you all to our schools because I want to give more details about my school. And Fatalp is one of the most hardworking principal in Turkey, believe in me. He has just prepared robotic coding class at our schools. He has just finished it and ready to work for all teachers and students if the schools open. And his next plan is to prepare English class. Yes. Big online meeting on the wall. He's thinking he has very nice, very good dreams for all teachers and all students and the citizens of Atayurt. And so we will be grateful if you visit our schools one day.
We appreciate your headmaster. You are really lucky to work with a headmaster who is always with you, who stands with you.
Yes, yes. I feel that I am
Please
very
translate
lucky.
it into Turkish for him.
Evet. Okay, I think it is time to say goodbye. And I am talking on behalf of all project members, including teachers, students, and parents. We are deeply grateful for sharing your valuable knowledge and time with us. Thanks for your participants and contributions, dear Mr. Fatih Yavuz.
I'm very happy. Really, I'm really satisfied and very happy to be with you. Thank you for asking me to share something with you. I'm not teaching you. I just shared what I know with you. I just suggested. I hope it helps you. And thank you being with you. And hope we can meet again with the results of the project. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for your... Yeah.
I would like to say some words because I talked earlier, but I didn't have the opportunity to thank for this amazing course. And I would like to say some words in Spanish. Gracias por este curso tan interesante. Ha sido
de nada.
Wow, Denisa, amazing.
Denisa, we can write in Spanish to each other, you know, we can practice more. Because,
yes,
I can understand the written language, but not much on spoken language. We can do it better.
I am good both at writing and speaking because I have been living in Spain for 9 years. So
Denisa is my new friend. You know, she's going to teach me some speak. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you too.
Gracias. You know, for yes. Gracias.
I think you need to make me host, Fatih Hocam.
I don't know how to make host. Okay. Yes. Now you are hosting.
Oh, thank you so much. I gain my host again. Okay. Thank you for all your participation. I feel great honored to support me and to be with me here. And I would like to say to you, have a good evening for all, and see you for next meeting, projects, and activities. And the last thing, please mask, distance, and hygiene. Keep safe.
For COVID-19. Okay, really.
The motto of 2020. Okay, keep safe, keep healthy. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for all.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bye bye. Have a nice
And Kadir to Castro, bye-bye.